So the F1 circus has arrived in China, and here's what happened during sprint qualifying. Going into the session, it was Mercedes who were the ones to watch. They were the quickest during the practice session. They only get one practice on a Friday when it's a sprint weekend. But there was also some potential being shown by the McLarens and the Ferraris, so it really was anyone's game. Now, Ferrari was seen testing their flip-flop, upside-down, Macarena, whatever you want to call it, rear wing during FP1, but they've confirmed that for the rest of the weekend and for the sprint qualifying and sprint race, they'll be running their standard rear wing. There was a spin for Lewis Hamilton during FP1, and he said on the radio that it was the rear brakes locking up, so very similar to what happened to Max Verstappen during the Australian qualifying last weekend. And last update was from Cadillac, who confirmed that Sergio Perez would not be taking part due to a fuel issue with the car that could not be fixed in time. Not much going on during SQ1. There were some fast lap times being set, especially from George Russell, who finished the session on top. And as we went into SQ2, we lost Sainz, Albon, Alonso, Stroll, Bottas, and of course Perez, who did not take part. SQ2 got going, and it was clear that Mercedes were going to be the team to beat today. No one was really able to get a time close to them, apart from Charles Leclerc, who managed to get close to Antonelli, but even that time was still 3/10 off of George Russell, who ended up finishing the session in P1. And at the end of SQ2, we lost Hulkenberg, Ocon, Lawson, Bortoletto, Lindblad, and Colapinto. On to SQ3, and it was still Russell in the Mercedes who was the one to beat. It was looking unlikely that anyone was going to be able to do that. The top four teams still had their drivers in the top 10, so it could have been anyone. And as we got towards the end of the session, it was Russell and Antonelli who were battling it out for pole, the two drivers setting some very quick sector times, but in the end it was George Russell who came out on top, and he will be starting the Chinese Sprint Grand Prix on pole. Then when you look at the rest of the top 10, it's Antonelli in P2, Norris in P3, and Lewis Hamilton beating his teammate Charles Leclerc to P4, Oscar Piastri in P5, and Leclerc there in P6. Then in P7, it's Gasly and Verstappen in P8. Not a great start to the weekend for Red Bull. Rounding out the top 10, it is Oliver Bearman in P9, and then the second Red Bull, Hadjar, in P10. So going into the sprint race, it's clear that George Russell and Kimi Antonelli are the ones to watch in the Mercedes, but let's not count out Ferrari. We saw during the race last week that they are very quick off the line, and with Lewis Hamilton starting in P4, he could be leading the Grand Prix by the time we get to the first corner. And as long as Ferrari don't mess up their strategy again, they could win the race tomorrow. Either way, it's going to be an exciting sprint race, especially with the number of overtakes we saw during the full race last weekend. You can only imagine how many we're going to see during a half distance race, and it needs to be exciting, to be honest, because I've got to get up at 3 AM to watch it. And that's pretty much a roundup of everything that took place during qualifying for the Chinese Sprint Grand Prix. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to The Benchmark for more F1 content.